Yes. That sounds much better for me. Hopefully it also sounds much better for you guys. So I can definitely hear. And I'm hoping you guys can hear me. Because that would be a nice combination of two things to happen at once. Okay, you can hear me? Perfect. I love that. I appreciate the heads up that I was inaudible. Because I do not like being that way. Okay, these guys are all dead. We're heading upstairs and hopefully... You thought I was just incredibly indifferent to you jumping out of bed to catch the stream? No, I've been talking the whole time. I'm very sorry that you couldn't hear me, but I'm glad that we've resolved that. No, I appreciate you being excited to come and watch me fail at video games. I took the wrong path. Classic. I always go the way I don't want to go when I'm going away. Oh, I'm so glad they didn't invalidate all of my progress here. Because in terms of gameplay time, I very recently came through this area and cleared an entire path for myself. And I was going to be very upset if I had to re-clear the path. Oh, that guy had a second swing. I was doing a great job at blocking all of his attacks and dodging. Then he just came at me with a second hit, which is quite rude of him if you ask me. Also, I'm realizing... Like, at this point I'm going to stick with it because I just want to see how far it can go. But I haven't engaged with the magic word system since very early on in the game. So I've got probably a lot that I could do to buff myself, but at this point, like, it's almost like a case of just being stubborn. Up we go. I don't even really know what I'm fighting at the end of this, but I'm intrigued to find out. Sir, perhaps it would be best if you didn't. Just don't. How about that? But he's still gonna. There we go. Enjoy some of those. Thank you. Oh, that guy was doing the whole I'm gonna attack you jumpy dance, and then he didn't actually come over. There we go. Ooh, Emil just canceling that guy's attacks. Like a hero. I'll use that medicinal herb so I can pick up the other one, sure. Oh, that's Kaine. That's fine, this is fine. This poor guy's just getting gang beat. Now, I don't actually feel bad for him, but, you know, it's fine. Nope, gentlemen, I have places to be. Namely, not around you. Alright. Oh, wait. When did I open that? That's fine. This is okay. Everything's going according to plan. Okay, so we'll keep those guys down. They're pretty easy to kill. I want to unleash everything we got at these guys. There we go. Unleash a little bit of that. I think that was a double kill at the same time. There we go. That's everybody. I believe we have some boxes to smash here. Where do I go to get where I want to go? Go through this door, I think? Yeah, that's the way to the roof. Gentlemen, I do not like being surrounded. It is quite rude of you to do so. Oh, another hydrate. Right on time. This one's for you, Oz. Now, I know you didn't intentionally time it that way, but I like that it came through for me as I was already taking a drink. Oh, you did intentionally time that? Okay. I figured the latency wouldn't have allowed for that, but hey man, if you intentionally got that, nice. You see into the future? I believe it. That sounds like something you'd do. Who's shooting me? And can you stop? Oh, this guy is shooting me. I parried that guy, I would say, perfectly. That guy not as perfectly. Okay, I need Gunboy here, dead. Okay, Gunboy's not a problem anymore. Man, somewhere between someone said you have mad theater kid energy, and then she said I wasn't lawful neutral. Okay, so I can understand one of those things, and I will not tell you which one. It's a choose your own adventure response. Alright, I'll leave. Apparently we will leave Emil to deal with whatever's up there. It's a medicinal herb and a health salve. Oh yeah, my health is at full anyway. Alright. They do call you Mr. Lawful Neutral, this is true.
Such an ominous sight. And yet I find it strangely nostalgic.
Oh yeah, this is where I gave Vice amnesia.
This is where Vice and I first met. And first fought together.
Wow! This is where you used to live, Vice?
Well, yes, I suppose.
The way that Emil just scoots around in like his hovering form.
Magazine.
At least it was
It's
free from
mildly
annoying
off-putting.
hussies like yourself.
Alright, you cannot turn back from this point. Continue? That feels pretty endgame to me, not gonna lie.
Now the path is open.
So maybe tonight finally will be the night that we finish it. Third time's the charm, right? And then I will jump immediately into the next one, because we're only 10 minutes into the stream. Oh, isn't this place ominous as hell? Let's go. Ooh. Fancy. This certainly doesn't seem like the kind of place that the embodiment of evil would reside. I expected, like, gross cave with little to no natural light. But here we are. Why does this look so corporate? This is so strange. Hello, birds. Oh, I can interact with
To
them.
whom does the true voice speak?
I didn't... When I said hello to the birds, I didn't expect them to speak back.
To whom does the true form show itself? You must answer.
It can talk!
I ask, why did humans disappear from the world?
The hell is this?
I believe this is some manner of password.
Password?
Yes. The correct answer should grant us access to the castle.
What game do I plan next? Well, since we passed 100 followers, so to be clear, when I finish this story route, I still have like probably at least 2 more to go on this game, if it's anything like NieR Automata. But when I'm done with NieR Automata, we passed 100 followers, so I'm going to be doing either a Fire Red or a Leaf Green Nuzlocke and seeing how poorly that goes for me.
I feel confident I have heard this somewhere before.
Hello, birds.
To whom does the true voice speak?
You want to cooperate with me to defuse a bomb? That would be fun.
Whom does I ask? Why did
Okay,
you must
so why did humans disappear from this world? Because of a black disease?
I answer, because of a black disease.
I ask, how can humans extend their lives?
By acquiring leaves of the sacred tree. By separating body from soul, I would guess.
I answer, by separating body from soul.
I ask, what is the destination of souls?
They're placed in their corresponding shells. They're in the promised land bursting with light. Placed in corresponding shells?
I answer, they are placed in their corresponding shells.
Very well. You are acknowledged as master.
I am acknowledged as master. Pinky. I want your opinion for another D&D game. I mean, what would you say my class is, like me as Oz? Ooh. Hold on a sec. Hold on a sec. Let me... I'm pulling up D&D Beyond here to, like, look over a list of the classes so I don't forget one. I think I would describe you as an artificer. So, like, looking at the description here, they use ingenuity and magic to unlock extraordinary capabilities in objects. They use a variety of tools to channel their arcane power. So, obviously you don't have, like... You don't have actual magic, but you... Like, I've seen your hands burning with sacred flame before. So I think using your ingenuity and knowledge to enhance yourself is pretty up there with you. That's my, like, that's my gut instinct, is to say that you're an artificer.
You may enter.
Well then, it seems
I think this is the
ways are-
first time I've... Sorry, back to the game. I think this is the first time I've actually, like, got one of these things right on the first try. Hello?
It's the twins from your village.
Devil and Popola. They were gonna tell me something. So I have a feeling this game may be more closely related to NieR Automata than Not really than I first assumed, because I had assumptions that it was connected since pretty early on. But those thoughts have kind of dwindled away a little bit as time went on. But I'm kind of getting back to it now. You like being right to birds? Yeah, this is... I think winning birds' approval is one of the things that I need to do more in my life. I would love to have a flock of crows that acknowledge me as a friend. Or sorry, a murder of crows.
Popola, Devila, what are you doing here?
Hey, any chance you'll just go back to the village?
No? No.
This is a very dangerous place.
You guys knew what I was doing and you just told me to be careful and let me go.
Even if you can find Yona here, you probably can't get her out.
How did you get here?
You planning to stop me?
Shh. We're asking the questions right now.
No, you're not. We're here to rescue Yona. What are you two doing here? They're right, let's go back to the village. You know what? What are you two doing here?
What are you two doing here?
I'm not going to answer that. You can figure it out yourself.
Okay, well then we're here to rescue my sister.
Rescue Yona.
No dice, huh? Well, I guess we don't have a choice then. No, I suppose not. How sad.
I didn't want to fight you guys, but here we are.
We didn't want to fight you.
You shouldn't have stood in the way then.
Really didn't want to.
You forgot what their connection is to Automata? I'm just gonna pause as soon as the fight starts. You meet a pair of androids that are red-headed twins named Devil and Popola in NieR Automata, and they help you in the... They basically just have a brief conversation with you in the first half of the story, but then in the second half, like, when you're playing the, like, after story, they have, like, a pretty pivotal part in that. So I'm interested to see if there's a more direct connection than just named characters and familiar locations, but we're gonna find out, I guess.
What's happening?
Sorry, this fate was predetermined.
Oh,
Still, we spoke to truth. We really wanted to avoid this if possible. We were hoping to put it off for 100 years or so.
What?
Until the next generation came along.
What are you talking about?
Are they shades?
I don't think so.
It's a lie. I don't believe it.
they wanted me to just put off saving my sister for 100 years? That's a big ask.
We never thought
Yeah,
we'd
what,
grow
so
to be this
in the
powerful.
This is madness.
so you
Why do
play
you
the
walk
first
outside?
story as
You
2B,
have
and then you
no
play
cause
as
to speak so
9S,
with us
and then
within
you
our
start
house.
into like the
You
secondary
are
story, or like the post main story, where you play like a new storyline as 9S and A2, and they have a pretty big part in that secondary portion of the story. Oh. Oh, you may have missed those? Yeah, no, it gets pretty wild after that point.
Copied my powers.
Bruh?
Ah, shit on a shingle. They can use the sealed verses.
Shit on a shingle?
Of course we can. The power came from us in the first place.
What?
You were simply loaned a small portion of it.
Pardon?
Vice, are you all right?
Devila, Popola, why are you guys doing this? Why are you siding with the Shades?
Huh. There's a lot to unpack here, to be sure. Ah? You love how casual revelations are? See, that's one of my favorite things about, like, in media, is when they do a really big reveal as just, like, a very casual thing. There's a show that I watch that I really enjoyed And there's a point where just in the middle of casual conversation, these two characters reveal themselves as like basically the face of the big bad that we've known the whole time. They're just like, yeah, I'm your worst enemy. She really likes the big double fist attacks, but she has yet to connect with them. Like, if she's gonna let me take out her whole health bar like this, I'm fine with it. Like, oh, there we go. Oh, another cutscene time? Yeah, here we go. Sup, bros? Ready to die?
The answer to every riddle lies within the heart of the Shadow Lord.
The Shadow Lord? So you've been on his side this whole time?
You must search for that answer yourself. You've got to face your own truth now. Please, enter the Shadow Lord's castle.
What? Okay, I'll see you later then, I guess? Huh? And they
Devila and
gave me a map?
Popola are fighting us.
Yes, they do seem to be putting us through a great deal of...
You okay, Vice?
How odd. For long years, my mind and tongue have been my greatest assets. But now the latter seems to be... Help.
Vice?
Do not look at me like that. I am Grimoire Weiss. I am perfectly...
So... with how robotic he's starting to sound,
I think I hear a waltz.
this is a bit far-fetched, but I'm curious if his existence is basically an illusion and he's actually like one of those pods. Because the one thing that I've had trouble understanding is how we started off in like a more, to us, modern day setting, and then after 2,000 years, we have none of that technology anymore.
It certainly is a grand affair.
Well, this is nice, I guess.
Bunch of dancing bastards.
Same.
They're all shades.
Oh. Well, it was a nice party while it lasted.
I think we're locked in.
It's not like I was planning to leave.
Yeah, it's a bit late for that.
My goodness, there's a lot to unpack here. Yo, can y'all cut it out? Hold on, I'm gonna just charge up some of this stuff. Hold on, one moment, gentlemen. There we go. Sent them all the way over here. Let's go. Send these gentlemen to the Shadow Realm. There's so many of them. When do they shift? Is it just like when I deal a certain amount of damage to the other ones? Or is there like a number of them that can be out at once? I don't know. If it seems like I'm having too easy of a time, do they change? Ouch. Okay, there's a number of them down. Hey, level up. And again. There you go, anyone else? Yeah, let's go. You all knew I wasn't done with you yet. Man, these guys can deal some damage. And send me flying. Alright, just gotta charge up some of these. You know what? Just unleash the first volley. And then number 2. Now that's a gun boy, I don't want him. Oh, there's so much here. We got a magic word in the middle of all this. Yikes. Don't have time to deal with that. These guys can just take these hits and keep on coming. It's quite rude. There we go, 2 more down. Yeah, that guy reflects magic. And another one down. We're getting close. Oh, I hate those guys. Hate them. Ow.
Damn it! I won't stop coming!
I'll open the next door. Cover me.
Oh, how I do love
Vice is having a rough time.
Oh, right. Protect the hussy, yes? Good plan. Let's go.
Protect Kaine for us.
Okay.
Kaine! Hurry!
It's not open yet?
Do I look like a goddamn locksmith to you?
She's got a point. So, these guys, they suck. TLDR. Now, you.
No, you idiots. What are you doing?
What?
Well, doesn't want to open? Fine. I'll just break it down.
Stop, you impatient fool.
No, let's just break them. It's fine. I've never seen a door that doesn't
No good
stand to a
bullshit
good breaking.
bastard! Open the fuck up already! Ugh!
See, there we go. Perfect.
Got it.
Kaine, look out!
Got it. What a hero. Oh, yikes. That's not ideal. So many small babies.
These things are freaking me out! Kaine! What's wrong?
We need to help Kaine.
I'm trying to kill the weird babies. But fine, I'll help Kaine.
You okay?
Why doesn't she run away?
We got
I
problems.
don't know. Is this guy here to command the babies? Oh, it seems like he might be. Oh, are we about to have a this cannot continue moment? Yes, it seems we might be. hello. Man, this fight is gonna be a real bore. But I'm just...
We don't need forgiveness, asshole.
Kaine?
What? What was that about? Forgiveness? Oh, that's not the attack I thought he was using. Not very poggers.
How should I know?
Kaine, are you all right?
I'm
Does
fine.
she think somebody's
Let's
talking
just
to
kill
her?
some shit and move on, all right? Damn it! How can something so big be so fast?
Is that top bit seems like it should be a weak point, but it's not doing any more damage to hit him. Like, I feel like that should definitely be doing something to him, you know?
yourself against the shock.
What shock? That's what she said, am I right, up top? Yeah, you know what? Well said. Well said, my dude. Hey, idiot. Ow. Ooh. That felt like a solid attack to down him with. Oz, you are cool and hip.
Shit. Oh dear.
You're facing the wrong way, Vice. Oh, never mind, you're not. Oh, this one's armored. Fun. Yo, big boy, you want to lose some of that armor, perhaps? Ow. He doesn't seem to want to lose some of that armor, perhaps. Oh no, he does seem to. Nice. It's just iffy. Alright, gonna charge up some magic. Oh. Well, that was some bullshit. Ah, idiot. Have some of this. Oh. Oh, did he oh, that's...
Can we even hurt this thing?
That seems a little uncalled for, my dude.
Oh, oh no!
I can't stop now. Damn it.
What is wrong with this guy?
Stay focused, Kaine. Don't fall victim to such distractions.
Come on! We have to keep going!
Let's go.
He's just glowing ominously, and I don't like it. I'm gonna kill it.
This way. Move.
Okay, fine. I put so much work into killing that boar, and y'all are out here invalidating all of my hard work. But I got a glance out of it, so that's nice.
How can we deal with this thing?
Oh, oh lord, he coming.
Please, hurry!
What do you think I'm doing? It's just in. Do not use... Oh, you've got to be shitting me. Okay. I was about to say, if this was like NieR Automata, where it just sent you back to the last time you saved no matter what, and I had to do all of that again, I was gonna be upsetty spaghetti.
Up here!
How can we deal with this thing?
The strat is just to run. Fucking...
Please, hurry!
Oh. Yikes. Alright, new spot to fight him? Hey guys, I brought company. Oh, the door shut behind him.
Damn it, I can't get it open.
Oh,
Attack incoming!
hola.
The entrance is locked too!
It seems we are in a bit of a predicament. Strike the beast while it's down.
What do you think I'm trying to do? He's losing armor chunks, which is nice. He's gonna be a naked orb soon. Which will make him much easier to kill. Look at him. Big dummy. Emil just kind of ate it there. And he's going to heal up, and then we're going to have to run again. Alright. What now? I'm gonna break his entire spine. Every vertebrae. Oh. Hello? Who this? Bunch of spears. Hey! My people. I mean, I'm surprised it gave me this much trouble too, let's be real. Oh, do we get to fight together now? Hell yeah. The people with the mask owe you a great debt. Oh, guys.
What are you doing here?
They're gonna die.
You are correct.
We'll hold this one off. Please keep moving.
But
Oh, these guys. Alright, they got the door for me. You absolute units.
Hey! Stop! Let me go!
They're forcing us out.
Stop it! Damn it! King, no! No! Open the door! You can't
You don't
find
fully
that thing
understand
on
what you're
your
seeing.
own!
The people from the desert village that we helped time and time again have come to help us make sure we can defeat the Shadow Lord. So they are, how many rules are there about what to shout before dying in battle? 88, my liege. So they're foolishly laying down their lives in battle to make sure that we can achieve our goal.
ウラーヌペルアトチ
Thank you, gentlemen.
Open the damn door!
Nice, thank you.
Knock it off already. Let's go.
Kaine.
He's fighting for you. And for Fira. Don't let him die for nothing.
My friend.
I'm glad that everyone's accepted that they are going to die. No foolish beliefs of, you know, maybe he'll make it. It's just like, don't make his death be in vain. That's it. I'll see what drops out of this. Health salve? Perfect. I can use one and be back at full. Okay. I thought this was gonna be like a PT situation where it's the same hallway over and over again. But it was just the same hallway multiple times. It wasn't infinite. Oh, Devil and Popola in comically large chairs. Ladies?
Devila. Popola.
Oh, look. You made it. We've been waiting for so long.
Bruh.
Why are you doing this?
It began 1300 years ago.
Isn't 1300 years ago when NieR Automata happened?
Humanity, finding itself on the brink of extinction,
Give or
undertook
take a
a
bit.
last-ditch rescue plan called Project Gestalt.
Gestalt?
Do you still not remember, Grimoire Weiss? Then let's give you a refresher.
Obtained Project Gestalt documents. Okay, so I can't go anywhere in the middle of the cutscene to check those out.
My mind. I remember, Devila, Popola. You are not human.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, oh no.
Yeah, sometimes the truth can be a real bitch. You want to finish that thought for him, sister? All of us. Every person standing in this room are mere shells created by the true humans.
So, assuming they're going to continue on to say androids and not just some complete asshole, how did I grow up?
What are you saying?
You still don't get it? You aren't human.
So then humans, I mean, the true humans, are extinct?
No, they still live on. You know them as shades.
Oh.
Each shade is a twisted remnant of what was once a human being.
We have a lot of blood on our hands.
Crazy, huh? Now let's skip the part where you stand there with your mouths agape and just get down to business.
Wait. Wait.
Sorry, but we're gonna be needing that shell of yours. The rightful owner has been waiting for a very long time.
The Shadow King. Because he's a shade that's been waiting for a proper body.
Please don't be angry with us. We are only doing our duty. Our endless existences have a single purpose: to control the lives of others in accordance with the will of the true humans.
Interesting.
You have your own motives, your own desires. And we have ours. I fear it really is just that simple.
Don't speak such foolishness.
Sorry.
Okay. Before this, before this. Okay, transfer of bodily information to civilization repressed replicants is proceeding as planned, with the genes of the originals stored safely inside. Our role as surveillance androids to prepare for when the incurable bacterial disease eventually dies out is also underway. Codename Popola. Some relapsed gestalts beginning to attack replicants. Okay. Debate over using codename NieR for human restoration schedule. Preparations to launch Vice decoding system for above. Order collection of guidance and release code for Damien alongside Vice launch. Interesting. Okay. We've determined that the rise of relapses was due to an unexpected spike in the sentience of replicants, as well as a genetic instability within the original Gestalt. It seems the original's effect on bodies that have undergone the Gestalt process was not anticipated in advance. Immediate action must be undertaken to identify the links between this trend and the original Gestalt, along with its sister, the relapsed case known as Yona. So, interesting. Am here, am near. Nice. So, my theories have, or one of my theories have been confirmed.
Tools in the hands
Is that
of a master.
this is the Devil and Popola. As far as I can tell, this is the Devil and Popola from NieR Automata. Also, they evil now. Or I guess have been all along. Sorry to hit you with that as soon as you arrive. Also, welcome. Oh, are they singing together? Oh, also, I love... So there's two voices in the music. But when this one is like shouting and doing an attack, the second voice actually cuts out of the audio. And then she cuts back in after she does her like effort lines. Have we found Sis yet? We're on our way to her. But that is an incredible little touch, because they would have to have two versions of the music track, with one voice and one with two, and then so many transitional points that they have that Devila or Popola can resume singing with the other one. That's so cool. Come at me, girl. Can I block her attacks here? Like, can I parry these? Oh no, she just breaks right through. Alright, good to know. Dodging is the only option. Close to the end of this health bar, at least. I imagine it won't be the end of the fight, no matter what. Especially after that boar got like 4 health bars. I don't imagine Devil and Popola will have less health than the fucking Shadow Boar. Oh, cool. Thank you for that. Here, I'm just gonna hit her with the funny, funny dark lance. Come at me, girl. Just kidding.
Devila? Devila?
I really wanted to like you two, but sorry, y'all suck. You guys were so cool at the end of NieR Automata, too.
Popola, are you crying? No! Don't die! You know, Popola, I understand now why we're twins. It's because we were born without souls. Devila, I can't stop the bleeding. Oh god, I can't stop it! This world is too lonely for one without a soul. There's too much emptiness. Our souls are missing. And yet somehow our tears still work. It's kind of weird.
Dude, you need a soul to be able to cry?
Sorry, sis.
Have I been doing it wrong this whole time?
Devila! Devila! Don't you go! No, I can't be alone! Devila!
I mean, you won't be alone for long.
Let's stop this now.
Stop? Now you want to stop?
I didn't want to fight you guys in the first place. You're the ones who insisted on it.
You think you have the luxury to stop? You cut down my sister like a goddamn animal and now you want to stop?
Popola, wait! It doesn't have to—
No one stops! It's way too late to stop! No one stops!
Bruh. Oh, and she starts out low on
Don't
health.
do this, Popola!
Oh,
You and Devila were like
holy
parents to
shit.
me.
Those two have watched the world wither for time immemorial.
Yikes.
The coolness of such a face.
My game is actually slowing down.
I don't want to do this. I don't want to fight her.
Stop bitching and start fighting! It's the only way!
Holy shit. Yeah, easy lag dodges is right. Ow. Holy. Like, lag dodges for real. But still. I'm sorry. But also, like, you guys a little bit. Because... Oh. Oh, she's really going hard here.
No stopping ever!
Yikes on bikes.
The bridge!
Blast! We're trapped.
I've got an idea.
What you got, boy? Oh, right, you're magic. Forgot about that part. Oh! Yeah, she's just straight up losing
I
it.
fear we're done for.
Nah, we're fine.
It'll be all right.
Hope you weren't planning on using that. Nah, it's...
You know, when I was young, I hated my eyes.
Oh, what's he about to
And
do?
now that I'm older, I hate what my body has become.
Is he just
But
gonna
there's something else there now.
get himself killed?
Something like pride, you know? I mean, without all this, I couldn't have become your friend. Goodbye, my friends. Thank you for everything.
Well, yep. Another friend sacrificing
So
himself.
long, all I could do was destroy. But now, I have a chance to save something. No! Now get going, okay?
Emil.
Don't worry about me. I'm gonna be fine.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it certainly looks like it. It looks like you're gonna be just fine.
Emil! You jackass, get back here! Emil!
Yeah, he'll be okay, right?
Oh dear. Kaine's so unstable, and Vice can't stop arguing with people. I hope they can hold it together once I'm gone. Well, I guess they'll just have to learn. I want to see you again. I want to see all of you again. Just one more time. I'm scared. I don't want to die.
What the fuck did he just do? He just deleted everything. The strat professionals don't want you to know, just don't die. Yikes. Oh, is that Mr. Shadowlord? Hey. Just say no to death. They legally can't kill you without your consent. Okay, so this is the Shadowlord, who, from what I've gathered, Yona is actually his sister. And my body is just intended to be a vessel for him. Which, like, again, consent. I don't really want him inside of me, so not cool with that. Very comforting. Thank you, Kaine. Top tier friend.
Let's go.
Anyway, I want her to do that to me. What do you mean, no? Yeah, Oz is with me on this. Let's go. Listen, I like what I like, okay? I'm not here to get judged for it. Oh, that's a lot of small friends. Man, some of my boy Emil's area of effect attack magic would have been real handy here, eh? Holy shit. You will kink shame? No. Unacceptable. I don't want that in my chat. Watch yourself. I will time you out. I will hydrate as soon as this fight is done, Oz. I would not want to deprive you of your channel points. But you say it's rude. I say it's rude to kink shame in my chat. What if kink shaming is your kink? I can make one exception for that. But Sabrina did not specify ahead of time, so that's a no-go. Why so many? Just leave. How about that? You just shame yourself constantly? I mean, touché. I just want these guys to leave. Just all the little guys make combat very annoying. And I want them to not be around and make combat annoying. There we go. Alright. That's the end of the hallways, at least. At least in this section. What's up next? You weren't interfering with combat. You're allowed to stay. Oh, and also the hydrate for Oz, as promised. Oh, I forgot it's been a 5-year time skip since Yona went away. I didn't even think about the fact that she's also 5 years older now. Hello, Shadow Lord. Aren't you looking spicy? Like a habanero pepper. Like a man drenched in Frank's Red Hot sauce. I want wings like that. Can I rip them off your body and stick them on mine? Thank you. Also, very kind of him to move all the furniture out of the way for the fight, because like, you can see it all piled in the corner.
Strike hard. Hold nothing back.
He just pieces out and lets me fight the book. My sexy talk is top tier. Oh, don't I know it?
How can a mere tool hope to stand against the Shadow Lord?
Don't speak in such a manner, fool. I am nothing like you.
Did he just call us a tool? What do you mean, watch out? We're fine. I just tore up all the pages that he spat out at once. Stupid book.
No! Impossible!
Okay, I'm just gonna look up some of these pages for a second. There we go.
Relax yet. It's not over.
Come on. Get out of here, Noir. Coward.
Strike it when it has stopped.
Well, what do you think I'm doing? I'm very good at hitting books. You know this. Get fucked. Another hydrate from us. This one's for you, buddy.
Be careful!
I know!
Oh, hello. Hello, big boy. Oh, look at it. He's spilling his hot sauce everywhere. It's all over the floor. Kinda got in the way of me hitting him with that other attack.
Vice, you alright?
Naturally, I'm as fit as a bit.
You wish books could talk IRL? Dude, let me introduce you to this wonderful thing called ebooks. Well, sorry, not ebooks, but audiobooks. They're very scripted, but they do talk. Smut books? Oh no. Imagine a book dirty talking at you while you're trying to read it. Like, oh fuck yeah, crack open my pages, baby. Break my spine. You think it's time to shame a bit? No, not allowed. These are the... If you don't expect this shit coming to my stream, you're wrong. I close my pages very violently on your dick. That's not a sentence I expected to read today, but I'm here for it. I like the energy that you bring to the party. Also, the fact that this is all going on during, like, the climactic end fight. Or I'm assuming it's the end. I can't imagine there being an antagonist after the Shadow Lord, but also, what do I know about this game? You call it lawful neutral, maybe? That's fair. That is kind of your wheelhouse. This guy is really just eating it in a good way. Come here, big boy. Yeah, get fucked. Here, have all of those. Oh. What do we have now?
Wait.
Oh. Hey girl, how you doing? You're not dead? That's always good. So what's gonna go wrong here?
Brother?
Yoda.
Uh-huh.
Please, just stop. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't need someone else's body. I don't want it. There's another girl inside this body. I can hear her. She won't stop crying. She says she wants to see her brother.
Yona's been possessed?
This girl loves her brother too, just as much as I do. It's not right, you know? It's not right that she can't see him.
Yeah, I agree. This is. I have some sad energy right now.
It's you, isn't it?
Yes, it's me. Let's go home.
Am I about to get traitored?
I'm really sorry. I don't know what to... I'm so very sorry. No matter what. Just know that... I love you.
Hurry. The shade that possessed her is gone.
What's going on? Honestly, great question. I imagine I gotta fight Shadowlord because his sister just yoked herself out of existence.
You want me to understand your sadness? You think I'm gonna sympathize with you? I swore to protect my sister and my friends. If someone puts them in danger, they must stand aside or be cut down.
I mean, isn't that exactly what I've been doing?
Let's finish this.
Putting his family in danger?
Weiss, what's wrong?
You're freaking me out here, Weiss.
What are you doing? Come so...
I don't think I'm actually damaging him. Not gonna lie. Oh no, I am still. Okay. It was small the times that I was damaging him before. I didn't notice it. This is ominous that he's just vibing over at the other end of the hallway. Oh, goodness! That was something. Wasn't ready for walls of death.
No bother. One moment, please.
You okay?
Fine.
Just throw the book at him as a weapon.
Right, no, I'm not.
Bludgeoning damage.
It seems some headstrong idiot has decided to push me beyond my limits.
Guilty?
I should have taken that job as a cookbook when I had the chance.
Weiss, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Only joking. I hate cookbooks.
but...
Let's go. Out of the way. I have one final task to fulfill.
Where are you going?
Why, to stop him, of course. But after that, it's up to you.
Ooh. Alright,
Only
well.
you can see this battle to its conclusion. I wish you luck, my friend.
You can't. I swore I'd
Everyone's
always fight by
sacrificing
your
themselves
side.
for me.
You are an exceedingly stubborn lad. You know that, yes? Perhaps that's why I've so enjoyed our time together. But I fear this is where our journey ends.
Vice!
I never thought I'd be sad to be parting ways with a
Remember
book.
what I told you about using my full name? Well, forget it. I've grown rather fond of Vice.
Nice, we turned him around. You're always sad to leave books behind.
Don't let it go to your head.
But I've never been left behind by a book. This is a new experience for me. Vice has lost all of his powers.
I have something to defend. I have a reason to live.
Oh. Don't understand why they're sacrificing themselves, though. It seems like Vice was using the last of his power to basically hold the Shadow Lord in place so that I could take him out. The others were keeping the boar occupied because it kept coming back no matter how many times we killed it. So they were keeping it occupied while I went and finished the thing in charge of all the shades. Or at least it seemed like he's in charge of all the shades. Ah, thank you. Thank you for the trophy. Well, we probably did it.
Is Iona all right?
You know, if shades die in sunlight, why didn't we just open the curtains? Just let some natural light in here. Congratulations, you doomed humanity? Pardon? This is fine.
Oh God, no.
Oh, please, the girl is fine.
Brett? Hello?
Vice? Where are you? Are you okay?
I am as well as can be, considering I have lost my physical form. Doubtless my voice will be the next to go, so listen closely. Your sister is safe.
Okay, that's the good news.
Do not mourn her, and do not give up hope. Instead, you must call her back to you.
How?
Use your memories. Recall the times you spent with her. Present her with proof that the two of you live still, and that your lives have meaning.
I don't know.
Typical. But take heart. I know you can do it.
Alright.
What's my favorite food?
Oh, yikes. My sister's doomed.
What's my favorite book? That's my magic storybook. What's my favorite place? Home with you. What's my favorite flower? The lunar tear, of course. Okay, one more question. Who do I love more than anyone?
I'm gonna assume it's me? That's a very self-centered answer, but... Hey, I mean, she seems awake.
Is that you?
Iona.
Is this
It'd be funny if she just slumped after you said your own name.
Yes, Yona.
Yeah, that would have been very unfortunate.
You look bigger than before. Like you've grown up.
I mean, yeah, you did too.
I guess you haven't seen me for a while.
Have I been asleep this whole time?
Something like that.
Has there been a Dove reference with
It's
Yona?
almost like I'm a princess from some fairy tale.
Not explicitly yet.
Yona. I'm so happy to have you back.
Although those birds out at the
Me
fountain
too.
also asked questions.
Kaine.
You and your sister, you have a good life, Kay?
Where are you gonna go?
Guess I'll...
You could stay with us, you know.
Thanks, but I'll pass. You know how it is. I got my own shit to take care of.
What do you mean?
Personal shit, alright? Anyway, take it easy, yeah?
Kaine.
Hey,
Alright, she's just peacing out. Alright. I guess we'll see you later.
it's beautiful. For the longest time, I heard someone telling me how they wanted to see the light.
How's she gonna react to the fact that we killed Devil and Popola?
Now they can finally see it.
Because she really liked them. Hey, we're back home. Huh? Is this flashback? I'm assuming so.
Thank you. I love it. It's so sunny today.
Yeah.
Man, I was so small before the time skip. I kind of forgot about that. Well, at least they're together in the afterlife. You're welcome for that, guys. Alright. Last Words of Humanity, Ashes of Dreams, sung by Emmy Evans. This is something that's... So this is actually really interesting to me, is that they have the credits not separated by who did what, like in just about every other piece of media I've ever seen. But they have the credits in alphabetical order. That's just a really interesting... I don't understand what happened. Welcome to NieR. It's... You'd be last, like always. They're going by first name. You wouldn't be last. You'd be, like, kind of midway through. And my friend Zach, if he was working on this, yikes. Hungarian Radio Children's Choir. I want to see if there are any other interesting names. or groups that are credited in here. But no, having the credits in alphabetical order is very interesting. Your name is interesting? I mean, that's also true. Okay, so I can't pause. But Kira Buckland credited as question marks, and Kyle McCarley also credited as question marks. There are thoughts. I need to see if another name comes up. I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but if I see it, I'll know it. Oh no. It would have already gone by. I remember what the name is now. More question marks. Do I know another Oz? I don't think I do. Ray Chase? No, although it's there. Player, second half. I see. I was thinking, Jeremy Lee. That's how you pronounce it. But yours starts with a C, so that'd be way up there. There is a Sabrina? I didn't even look, to be honest. I saw a Damien, but it was spelled with an A instead of an E, so it made me sad inside. We need justice for the Damiens with E's of the world. And there's Spike Spencer, also with question marks. Who's the first of the S's? Nice. I mean, that makes sense. S-A-B would be pretty high up there. It'd be tough to find somebody whose name starts with S-A-A. But if they're out there... There we go, we're getting close to the end. Hey, Yuri Lowenthal as the postman. And Gideon, yeah, I called that he was Gideon, but the postman was a new one to me. As soon as I heard Gideon, it was mostly when he was, like, yelling. Alright, so we save, obviously. Hey look, ending A is completed. Nice. Now, unless they do the thing where, like, they run out of space and start writing smaller letters, I'm guessing this game doesn't have 26 endings. Alright, load your clear data after completing the game to experience Kinase Story. Classic. Alright, I am going to continue, but I'm going to be right back. So, give me a moment. I don't have... You're going to need to make a note that I need to make a be right back scene, but I do not have one. So, I'm going to just use my stream starting screen as a BRB screen for now, and I will fix that next time. So I will be right back. Give me like 3 or 4 minutes, and I will be back and playing on the B story route. So this game has only 5 real endings. Okay, so similar to Automata, where the other like 21 were joke endings. All right, well, I'll be back to play ending B in a moment. Just give me a couple minutes, and I'll be right back. All right, we are back. Thank you for your patience, everybody. but we're here to continue. Oh, you can now read a departed mother's diary in your house. I'm not welcome. Oh, that's fair. I'll leave. Thanks for coming out, guys. I'll see you next time. A wardrobe has been added to the options menu. New outfits can be obtained by progressing through a departed mother's diary. Change music has been added to the settings section. You weren't even here in the first place to give me patience. Oh, that's fair. So I had a BRB screen back on my old system. I recently built a new computer for myself and had to rebuild my entire stream setup in OBS. So I currently do not have a BRB screen because I forgot to put one back together. So I'll be doing one before my next stream. Thank you. It is nice to have a new computer. I figured it was time to upgrade and I wanted a lot of RGB. Also, thank you for the hydrate. This one's for you. Alright, let's continue. Alright. B-side. Kaine. What the hell are we doing?
Whenever I interacted with Kaine, I was reminded about something from my past. Maybe my mind has been confusing her with my sister this whole time. Anyway...
Are we starting from here, or is this just leading us into it? Kaine's dreams, discrimination. Oh, we're starting off with a story. The sound of rain filled the village. The steep cliffs that surrounded the area magnified sound, causing even the slightest drizzle to rattle like a thunderstorm. Thin wisps of smoke streamed from the huts as villagers gathered in their homes and waited out the rain. A single child, however, had braved the downpour and was now wandering slowly towards the wooden, hawk-shaped weather vane at the center of town. The wanderer reached the vane, which had existed for as long as any could remember, and stared. The child's face was simultaneously delicate and fierce, like a teacup that had survived a shipwreck. Those traits combined with pale white skin to give the face an almost sexless quality. If the beak turns east, I go home. If it stays west, then I... The child blinked. Rain slowly dripped down the young one's short hair and began its long descent to the ground. Come on. Come on. The child felt a slight breeze and watched as the vane slowly creaked to life. Spinning this way and that for a moment, it finally settled with the beak pointing firmly toward the east. East? Really? Before the vane could move again, a jagged rock came spinning and tumbling through the air, striking home against the child's head. The force of the blow dropped the child to the ground as a hail of stones began to fall all around. Oh no, they found me. A heartbreaking smile crept across the child's face as the stones continued their assault. Through the rain, the sound of multiple footsteps grew louder before a voice rang out. Yoo-hoo, Kaine! The voice belonged to Demo, worst of all the bullies in the area. As Kaine struggled to stand, a final stone came skittering through the mud and bounced against her foot. Blood oozed from a cut above her eye and blurred her vision, but she could make out the shapes of Demo and his usual gang of idiots. The boy seemed taken aback for a moment by Kaine's seeming indifference to the blood dripping from her face, but quickly regained his bravado. What's up, freak? You like the rain? You like getting all wet? Or did you finally decide to run away from home? Though she knew it was futile, Kaine turned to leave. Before she could get more than a few steps, the other children scrambled to surround her, cruelty burning in their eyes. Kaine knew those were not the only eyes on her. The tormentors' parents watched them from the safety of their homes. She was attuned to this sensation. It was one she'd experienced many times before. This girl's got a tragic backstory. While some villagers simply turned a blind eye to the actions of their children, many encouraged it openly. In a society ruled by superstition and fear, Kaine was something to be hated and, if possible, destroyed. I didn't say you could leave, freak. Demo's words chewed at her like a worm through an apple. He can't hurt me, she lied to herself. Be strong, be brave. He can't hurt me, he can't hurt me. He can't hurt. Oh look, the little freak is gonna cry. What's wrong? Are you sad that everyone hates you and wants you dead? How old are these children? Kaine prayed for the rain to flood down and carry her away from a world that seemed to have no place for her. But if there were gods, they chose to ignore her. As Demo crept ever closer, the clouds began to thin and the rain slowed. Even the weather hates me. I'm useless, a failure. I wish Demo's rock had taken my head off. Kaine couldn't meet Demo's leering gaze. She lowered her eyes and stared at the muddy ground below. The bully moved forward until he was inches away. She could smell the scent of old meat on his breath. Gross. Take a shower, Demo. The boy grabbed Kaine's face with thick fingers and yanked it upwards. She tried to turn away, but he forced her gaze back and jammed his thumb against her eyelid to pry it open. Show me. No. Did you just say no? Demo grinned evilly. You don't say no to me. No one says no to me. Yikes, Demo needs to learn a lesson in consent, please? Not even taking his attention from Kaine, he called to his cohorts. Come on, guys, let's give the freak what she deserves. As soon as Demo finished, kicks and blows began to rain down upon Kaine. Demo paused, still grinning, as Kaine curled into a ball and tried to make the pain stop. I don't get you, freak. What you acting like a girl for, huh? Everyone knows what you really are. Kaine ignored the question, choosing instead to stare at the weather vane. It continued to point east, as if supremely confident about the future it had chosen for her. Go home? Yeah, that's a funny joke for someone with dead parents and no home to go to. Freak, chanted the children. Freak, freak, freak. Kaine closed her eyes and listened to the rain, waiting for the pain to start again. As the clutching hands of the village children closed around her, she bent her mind to the sound of the rain, letting it become her world entire. The rain fell, but the pain never came. Only when the laughter of her tormentors turned to terrified cries did she dare open a single blood-caked eye. Kaine was shocked to see Demo sprawled on the ground, holding his head and screaming in pain. She could see blood welling from the spaces between his fat, twisted fingers. Oh my god, he's crying. He's actually crying. Deprived of their leader, the other children glanced back and forth between themselves, as if waiting for someone to step forward and take charge. When no savior emerged, they began an uneasy shuffle away from Kaine. But the young girl was the least of their concerns. Instead, their attention was rapt on the ancient woman standing a few feet away. After struggling for breath for a moment, she finally spoke in a voice thick with rage. Oh, is this Grandma? Is Grandma about to kick some children's asses? Hurts like a bitch, don't it? Now I suggest you scatter before I throw another one. Oh, we know where Kaine got her dirty mouth from. It was Grandma. And if any of you little bastards ever touch my Kaine again, I'll do far worse than throw a rock. You can count on it. The old woman crouched down and gently touched the hand Demo was using to cover the wound. Before he could think to protest, she ground her palm into the wound and twisted back and forth. Okay, so I know I said Kaine was my favorite character, but Grandma's quickly moving up the ranks. Ow, he screamed, leaping to his feet. Stop it, what are you doing? Quit whining, ain't no one ever died from a scratch. You hit me with a rock, you stupid bitch. A big one, that thing could have killed me. The old woman shrugged. Death is the best cure for stupid. Yeah, no, Grandma just became, like, top tier. Demo's face twisted with rage at her words. Locking his eyes on Kaine, he took a step backward and spat on the ground. Get out. Leave this village. No one wants you here, either of you. Seeing the old woman grab another stone, Demo and his companions turned tail and ran. And as they fled, the old woman grabbed her side and barked out a single laugh. And friggin' Grandma. Look at the fat boy go. Guess he's healthy enough to run from a fight. The woman's smile faded as she turned her attention to Kaine. Kneeling down, she removed her shawl and placed it around the young girl's shoulders, then produced a cloth from the folds of her dress and began blotting at the blood on her forehead. "Oh, Kaine," she said, "why didn't you fight back? You're stronger than that lot." The words of her grandmother stung Kaine, and she turned away. "Don't be nice to me," she said. "I don't deserve it. Nothing matters anymore." Her tears, held in check for so long, finally began to fall on the muddy ground below. "Everyone hates me. They think I cause bad things to happen. They think I'm a freak. I wish I was dead." As Kaine's tears turned to sobs, she felt her grandmother's hands on her shoulders. Despite her advanced age and diminutive size, she was a woman of surprising strength. Kaine found herself unable to turn away. "Don't talk like that, girl. It's a river wide and deep that flows between the realms of this world and the next, and it grants no mercy to any that attempt the crossing. You got a duty to fight until your last breath, understand?" The old woman tightened her grip and tried to still the tremor in her voice. "You know the pain of losing someone close to you, Kaine. You know because you survived it." As the words hit home, Kaine was struck by the force of her love for the old woman. As a young child, she didn't even know of her grandmother, but when her parents died, the woman quickly accepted her as her own. Grandma, as Kaine called her, was cunning, vulgar, and quick to violence, and their first few years together had not been easy. But with each year that passed, Kaine and her grandmother had grown closer. However, it was only now, sitting in the mud with tears and blood caking her face, that Kaine truly understood the depths of her affection. Here was a woman who had seen hard times, who had seen death, who had fought through all these things and somehow emerged on the other side. If anyone could understand Kaine's pain and loneliness, it was her. "Do I make you sick, Grandma?" "Of course not, don't be an ass." Kaine drew her grandmother's moth-eaten shawl around her body and shuddered. "My body, it's not normal. If I was normal, then Mom and Dad wouldn't—" "Hush," interrupted Grandma. "I'll not hear another word of this nonsense. You're my granddaughter, and I love you, and if folks have a problem with that, they can just go to hell." With that, the old woman reached out and placed a wreath of dried flowers in Kaine's hair. The skill it took to bend the flowers without breaking the stems or losing a single petal was remarkable, and the beauty of it made Kaine want to cry all over again. "Oh my gosh, these are lunar tears. Grandma, you made this for me?" Lunar tears were legendary flowers. Most people could live their entire lives without ever seeing one, and yet her grandmother had somehow collected a dozen or more. Kaine reached up and touched the wreath as if she couldn't believe it was real. Okay, so that's the wreath she had hanging up in her little hut when we went by the town at the start of the game. "Where did you find these?" "I just stumbled on them while I was out doing the shopping." The old woman turned away as she spoke, leading Kaine to suspect that the search had been more difficult than she was letting on. The pains she took to construct the ornament, let alone track down the flowers used in its construction, made Kaine's heart hurt. She reached up and gently adjusted the wreath, admiring the way it felt between her fingers. "Didn't quite turn out right," said her grandmother as she squinted at it. "These old hands have trouble with delicate work, but it sure looks good on a pretty girl like you." Kaine blushed and turned away. You think I'm pretty?" "Of course you are. What a fool thing to say." "Thank you, Grandma." Her grandmother smiled. "We're gonna be fine, you and me," she said. "As long as we got each other, we'll be just fine." We all know how that turned out. Kaine took her grandmother's hand in hers, and the two of them struggled to their feet. As they began the long walk home, Kaine gripped her hand with all her might, as if trying to stop smoke from drifting away on the wind. The rain had stopped. Kaine stood beneath the weather vane, watching it spin in lazy circles, no longer caring about the direction it faced when it stopped. "I don't need to escape. I have a home now. Grandma loves me, and that's enough, even if it's us against the world." Kaine let her gaze drift up past the vane and into the cloudy sky. The last faint hints of a rainbow were slowly fading. As she turned and headed for home, the light scattered into a million particles and vanished, seemingly taken away on the breeze. We have more dreams. This is now just a reading stream. Let's go. In the distance, Kaine heard the steady sounds of an axe striking wood. The noise had a purposeful quality to it, as if she was hearing a master woodsman go about his work. The firewood being produced, however, was as far from a work of art as it could be. Pieces of every shape and size were being flung about a barren yard with wild abandon. Anyone trying to stack such wood would probably die of frustration before the job was through. Stupid piece of shit axe. Kaine's grandmother flailed away with the axe, filling the air with both splinters of wood and words that would make the most hardened sailor blush. "Grandma," called Kaine. "That you, Kaine?" yelled the old woman, taking her eyes off the wood for a moment. "Don't get too close, or I might take your goddamn foot off by mistake." She brought the axe down on a piece of wood, sending chips flying in every direction. One spun past Kaine close enough for her to hear the whistle, at which point she decided to step back. Once she'd scuttled to a safe distance, she cupped her hands around her mouth and shouted, "Grandma, do you need help? I can get you water or lunch or a new axe or something." The axe, poised to strike another wobbly blow, paused in midair. The old woman considered her granddaughter's offer for a moment, then smiled. "Tell you what, since I'm doing such a piss-poor job of chopping, why don't you come here and take over so I can go get the water? Shades have been restless lately, and I don't want you running into one of them bastards." Relinquishing the axe, her grandmother picked up a long pole with wooden buckets on either end. Gathering water was by far the more difficult of the two jobs, but Kaine knew better than to complain. Once Grandma's mind was set, there was no changing it. Kaine did her best to help with chores, but Grandma took every task that required travel to the village. Though she had a long list of plausible excuses, Kaine knew the real reason. She didn't want her granddaughter to be taunted and harassed by the villagers. Once Kaine moved in, Grandma decided to take up residence a good distance from the area. Out of sight, out of mind seemed to be the best policy when it came to the villagers and her granddaughter, and rare were the days when any but the two of them could be found on the rocky acre of land they called home. Kaine enjoyed the solitude, but harbored a secret resentment that her grandmother was forced to spend her golden years in such a place. After watching her grandmother leave, Kaine turned her attention to the task at hand. She had never chopped wood before in her life, and soon discovered why the old woman hated the chore. Swing after swing of the axe produced only a tiny crack in the wood, and when she finally managed to connect with a solid stroke, the tool embedded itself in the log and refused to budge. Frustrated, Kaine swung the axe around her head and threw it, log and all, across the yard. Damn it. Crap. She had suddenly understood the joy her grandmother felt in a good curse. Happier now, she picked up the axe, forced it from the wood, and resumed chopping. She had a natural skill with a blade, but the task was challenging, and blisters soon began to form on her small pink hands. "This is tough, and my logs are all weird sizes." Spitting on her palms and ignoring the pain, Kaine redoubled her efforts. Just as she was developing a rhythm, Grandma returned from the village. Setting down her buckets with a small sigh, she took one of the logs and coughed out a wheezy laugh. "Pretty clumsy, girlie. You better practice if you..." Her grandmother suddenly collapsed to her knees, causing one of the buckets to wobble precariously. Eyes wide, Kaine dropped the axe and ran to her grandmother's side. "Grandma." The old woman shook her head and pointed a trembling finger at the bucket. "Get the bucket. Can't let it spill." Kaine steadied the bucket with a foot as she knelt by her grandmother. A small bit of water sloshed over the side and made a new home in the hem of her dress, but Kaine didn't notice. "Grandma? Grandma, what's happening?" Crazed with panic, she grabbed her grandmother by the shoulders and shook. After a moment, the woman lifted her arms and batted Kaine away. "Stop that. Just stop," she cried, breathing heavily. "It ain't like I'm dying. Just tired from the trip is all." Kaine desperately wanted to believe her, but one look at the old woman's shaking hands and worn face told her more than words ever could. Her grandmother had lived a long, hard life, and it seemed the bill was finally coming due. The time when her grandmother watched over Kaine was ending. Sooner than either of them had feared, the positions would be reversed. The next morning, Kaine came to the side of her grandmother's bed and took her wrinkled hand. "Grandma, you're sick and you need medicine. I'm going to the village." The old woman shook her head and tried to rise, but Kaine gently pushed her down. "It's all right," she said. "I'll be fine." Her grandmother fixed her with a gaze that could melt steel. After what seemed an eternity, she finally lowered her eyes and sighed. "I don't like it, goddammit. I guess I should quit being so stubborn and let you grow up." The old woman watched as Kaine strapped on her boots and made her way down the road to the village. Hours later, as an unseen sun made its way across a dark and rainy sky, she was still watching. Kaine moved at a brisk pace, checking her pockets every few minutes to make sure the money her grandmother gave her was still there. Every noise caused her to spin on her heels, making sure she wasn't being stalked by a shade, or worse, Demo and his gang. But she encountered neither tormentors nor shades, and Kaine finally found herself at the entrance to the village. The few adults she could see glanced sideways at her, then muttered at each other behind raised hands before slinking away into the shadows. Her heart racing, Kaine took a series of rapid, shallow breaths and tried to calm herself. I have to prove myself. I have to help Grandma. I have to be strong. She chanted those words to herself over and over as she slowly made her way. Finally, her eyes settled on a rotund older woman who was angrily waving her arms in the air and telling everyone who would listen exactly what she thought of Kaine's presence. "Hey lady," said Kaine with a bravado she did not feel, "where's the apothecary?" The woman's flabby cheeks shook in bewildered anger. "How dare this thing speak to me," they seemed to say. But Kaine saw that her eyes held a different emotion. Fear. "Yeah, we're both scared, lady. Trust me on this one." "Which way?" Kaine repeated. The woman pointed at a small building to her right before hitching up her dress and stumbling off in the other direction. Kaine cringed, expecting a stone to come flying from the assembled crowd, but none came. Her mind was filled with a strange sense of pride as she made her way to the apothecary. But the new emotion had little time to take root, for as soon as she opened the door, she noticed a familiar customer at the counter. It was Demo. He'd clearly been sent here on some kind of family errand, because his gang of followers was nowhere to be found. "Oh my god," he sputtered. What are you doing here, freak?" The insult was delivered without force, and Kaine happily ignored it. Stretching on tiptoes to see over the counter, she asked the shopkeeper for medication. "Huh," barked Demo. "That old bitch finally keel over?" "Oh, he's asking for it now. Go to hell, Demo." The boy's eyes grew so wide they seemed ready to fall out of his head. But before he could let fly a comeback, or worse, a punch, the apothecary told them to knock it off before he kicked them out of the store. Demo slunk out of the shop, cursing Kaine under his breath. Once he was gone, she allowed herself to breathe once more, taking a brief tour of the shop while the owner prepared her medication. Countless tiny bottles filled the cramped store, each with a label written in some indecipherable language. An ocean of aromas assaulted her nose, creating a scent that was exotic, but not altogether unpleasant. Seeing such a variety of supplies gave Kaine a sense of peace. Surely, in a world so vast, there would be a place that she could call home. On the far wall behind the counter rested a portrait of a stunning young girl. The picture had once contained bright, vibrant colors, but the time had worked its cruel magic, and they were beginning to fade. The beauty of the work, however, remained undiminished. "You like that picture?" Kaine turned to find the apothecary with a small vial of medicine in his hand. His eyes were gentle but sad, and they seemed to stare through her and into nothing as he spoke. "That's my daughter. I sketched it when she was just a little girl. She's been dead for a long time now." Kaine didn't know how to respond. She just stared at the portrait and tried to come up with the right words. "Pictures are wonderful things," continued the shopkeeper. "They let the ones closest to you live on forever." He shook his head slightly, then looked down at Kaine and smiled. Handing her the medicine, he reached into his sizable green apron and produced a handful of old wax crayons. "You should have these. There's no one left that I wish to draw." Kaine took an instinctive step back, causing the shopkeeper's face to darken. "Yes, I've heard the rumors about you," he said. "It's a small village, and word travels quickly. Between you and me, I'm not sure which of them to believe, but I also don't think they matter much. I know your grandmother Callie, and I think the way she was driven out of this town is just deplorable." "Grandma's name is Callie," thought Kaine suddenly. She was still mulling this new fact over in her mind as she reached out and gently took the crowns from the apothecary's hands. "Your grandmother's an old friend of mine," he said as Kaine scooted away yet again. "I owe her much. I wager she'd like it if you drew a picture of her. Yes, I think she'd like that very much." Kaine murmured a quiet agreement, but inside her heart was bursting. Never before had a villager treated her with anything but complete contempt. It was a tiny, almost imperceptible step, but it was a step nonetheless. And with enough tiny steps, she might one day discover the rest of the world. When Kaine returned home, she found her grandmother asleep in her bed. Her feet were blackened and raw, even bleeding a bit in places, leading Kaine to think that she'd been pacing around the room until exhaustion finally caught up with her. She placed the medicine by her grandmother's pillow and turned to leave, but found the old woman's hand clasped against her arm. "Back already, are you?" asked her grandmother with a yawn. "Come here, let me have a look at you." Grandma sat up and examined Kaine from head to toe. Finally satisfied that nothing terrible had befallen her grandchild, she leaned back and allowed herself to relax. "Well, how was it? Those bastards give you any trouble?" "It was kind of fun," said Kaine with a small smile. "No, seriously, it was." "Fun, eh?" asked her grandmother in a voice which implied she believed anything but. So anytime you need me to run an errand, just let me know." As she spoke, Kaine removed the crayons from her pocket. After a brief explanation of their source, she informed her grandmother that she was going to sketch her portrait. "Portrait of me? Ridiculous. No one wants to stare at a wrinkled old crone." "But Grandma, it'll make you live forever." "Horse shit," said her grandmother, throwing back the sheet from her bed. "Living forever would just piss me off. Now put those crayons away and help with dinner." But Kaine would not relent, and in the end, Grandma found herself leaning against the wall of their house as if posing for a master artist. Kaine took up the crayons, eyed her subject carefully, and set to work. Just as her grandmother was about to nod off, Kaine finished the piece. After staring at it for a bit, she released it from her grip and let it slowly drift to the floor. "It's terrible. It doesn't look like you at all." "I'm sorry, Grandma. I thought these crayons would, make drawing easy or something." The old woman's eyes narrowed at her granddaughter's disappointment. "Let me be the judge of that," she said, ignoring the pain in her back and reaching for the paper. The sketch could have been a person's face. It also could have been a boulder, a lump of clay, or an incredibly misshapen loaf of bread, all hail bread, all rendered in a chaotic array of colors. The old woman stared at the picture for a long time, then slowly wheezed out a laugh. "Oh, Kaine," she said between laughter. "You truly are my blood. You're as clumsy as me, and I love it. But, hush, I won't hear any more bull about how ugly you think it is. It came from the heart, and I'll treasure it always." True to her word, the old woman gave the picture a place of honor above the kitchen table. In the days that followed, Kaine would often catch her staring at the portrait with a strange smile on her face, an action she interpreted as silent, mocking laughter. A week later, Kaine could stand it no more, and asked her grandmother to take the artwork down. "Bosh," said the old woman. "I'll take this down when they roll me in my shroud." He pondered this for a bit, then turned to Kaine and dropped to one knee. "Listen to me, girl. Seeing this picture makes me happy in a way I've never felt before. And it makes me want to go on so that someday you can feel the same happiness. That's wholesome." It was a moment that burned itself in Kaine's memory. A perfect blend of pride and love and joy that came together to form a lifelong remembrance. She swore to never forget this moment. To never forget the old woman who had made her place in the world possible. Wholesome 100? Yeah, you know it. Time moves on. People and memories move in and out of a life like ghosts passing through a hall. But this moment will be different, Kaine swore, because I'll remember it forever. Forever. But wait, there's more. The fact that this one is called Separation makes me worry. Kaine listened to the sound of crackling firewood and stared at the black object on her plate. She'd been pushing it around the wooden disc for a good 10 minutes, ignoring the bemused stare of her grandmother. Finally, she summoned her courage and gave the object a brief sniff. A sharp, bitter scent flew up her nostrils and made its home there, causing her face to twist with disgust. "Grandma, I can't believe you want me to eat a bug." The old woman threw some more wood under the cooking pot and snorted. "No bug, you fool girl, it's a berry. Why the hell would I be feeding you bugs?" "Yeah, well, it sure looks like a bug," said Kaine. "I think it's burnt or something, because it smells terrible." That, Kaine held her nose and threw the berry in her mouth, chewing as little as possible. "Oh yeah, that's terrible, all right." "Why, you little brat," laughed the old woman. "Look at the sass on you. You've been spending too much time with me, and that's a fact." 5 years had passed since the moment when Kaine's grandmother saved her from the bullies. As is often the way with two stubborn people, their relationship had grown in fits and starts, but moved forward all the same. Meals that used to be somber affairs were now filled with laughter and hurled abuse in equal measure. Kaine could not remember a time when she'd been happier. I abuse my grandma and she abuses me. I've never been happier in my life. As the years went by, Kaine started to shoulder more and more of the daily responsibilities. Her grandmother's legs grew weaker by the day, and she could no longer do many of the chores she used to take for granted. So this morning found Kaine lacing up her work boots with a breakfast of burned berry rolling through her belly. Verbal abuse is okay if it's consensual? You know what? I can vibe with that. Where are you going today? Asked Grandma suddenly. Kaine looked up, surprised. The old woman rarely asked for specifics anymore. Well, I was going to check out the kelma trees and see if they were ripe. I thought we could make some jam or something. Oh, and I'm going to pick up some flagstones, so I need to take the wheelbarrow. I don't know if it's abuse at that point. Also physical abuse, it's like boxing. Yeah, I mean, I guess as long as both parties are fine with it. Doesn't really count as abuse anymore, right? Flagstones, what in the hell for? Kaine stared at her grandmother, then held out an arm and swept it around their home. Constructed mostly of cloth, rope, and rubble, the old place sagged like a boxer in the final round. Boxing, you say, Oz? Is this the third time you've predicted something? Grandma, a dying cat could chew through this house. I'm gonna build a stone wall so we have some protection. The old woman laughed, exposing her toothless grin to the world. God damn, girl, if a bunch of thieves want to ransack this old place, let them come. We got nothing worth stealing anyway. I'm not worried about thieves, I'm worried about shades. People saw one west of the village yesterday. The old woman tilted her head and stared at her granddaughter. Well, shoot, I don't know why you have to do it today. We can worry about it some other... Grandma, no. If I don't go to the kelma trees, we won't eat tonight, you know that. A confused expression passed across the old woman's face, and for a moment she was a small child lost at a carnival. Yes, she said after a bit. Yes, of course, you're right. I'm sorry, Kaine. Lately it seems my mind is... She didn't finish the thought, instead walking over to her nightstand and gently taking the wreath of lunar tears from the drawer. Flower's petals had aged to a brilliant whiteness. Kaine thought it was more beautiful now than the day she first received it. You're gonna be a true woman soon, Grandma said as she placed the flowers in the girl's hair. That means less chatter about shades and building defensive walls, and more talk about how beautiful you've become. Annoyed, Kaine reached up to remove the garland, but the look on her grandmother's face stopped her hand. You're a beautiful thing, said the old woman. There ain't another like you in all the world. Very proud of you. Okay, Grandma, that's enough goddamn compliments for one day. Such a mouth on you, where did that come from? Gee, I wonder. Teach you to sass me, girl, yelled Grandma. Suddenly she lurched forward and grabbed Kaine by the ears, pulling her around the room with a crazed grin on her face. Grandma, yelled Kaine in a quaking voice. Grandma, stop it, what the hell? The old woman stared at her and blinked, then slowly held her wrinkled hands out as if it was the first time she'd ever seen them. Oh, I don't know what happened there. Sorry, girl. Sometimes my mind just... Kaine thought the look on her grandmother's face was the most heartbreaking thing she'd ever seen. Listen, she began. Maybe I should stay home after all. No, I won't have you stay here to keep an eye on an old codger like me. You go get your fruit and your wall and whatnot, I'll be fine. When you come back, I'll have a nice grasshopper dinner waiting for you. Why do I have a feeling that when she gets back, things aren't going to be as pleasant as we're expecting? Kaine rolled her eyes, then kissed her grandmother on the forehead and made ready to depart, trying desperately to ignore the worry that was gnawing at the walls of her heart. Kaine could feel the old woman's eyes watching her as she moved down the path. Don't turn around, she told herself. But in the end, the temptation was too great. She spun on her heel for one final look and saw a small, bent woman standing in front of a ramshackle hut with a sad expression on her face. God, she looks so old now. It's like the wind could reach down and just carry her away. Kaine worried about her grandmother all day, causing her work to suffer. What little fruit she could collect was tossed carelessly into the wheelbarrow, and she only found a couple of stones before losing interest in the project. Finally, as dusk approached, she decided to call it a day. Cursing herself for the lack of focus, Kaine pushed the nearly empty wheelbarrow back down the path. As she crested the final hill, she suddenly froze in place. The wheelbarrow fell from her fingers and collapsed on its side, sending a few pieces of wrinkled brown fruit rolling back down the hill. Her gaze was transfixed by a thick black cloud that hovered just ahead. Tracing its path with a finger, Kaine suddenly felt her stomach knot in on itself. No, oh gods, no. Her grandmother's house was ablaze, the flames licking up as if trying to touch the sky itself. I really like how the music just kicked up as we're getting into this part. Also, I feel very sad. Grandma, Grandma! Kaine ran then, faster than she'd ever moved in her life. Once she tripped on a stone and went sprawling into the rocky ground, but she leapt to her feet and continued running, unmindful of the blood that spilled from her wounded hands and knees. As she got closer and closer, Kaine's mind began to race in time with her footfalls. It's too dark. It's too dark. Not just fire. Can't be fire. Too much smoke. Gotta save her. Gotta save her. She burst into the front yard and came to a sudden halt, her worst suspicions confirmed. The smoke from the fire was mingling with the thick, inky blackness of an enormous shade. The massive creature supported itself on 3 twisted feet and achieved balance through means of a large armored tail. Scales, horns, and claws sprouted from its body in a random chaotic pattern, giving it the appearance of a lizard designed by some insane god. Seeing Kaine, it let out a roar and flicked its tail, sending small whirlwinds spinning around the yard. For a moment, the creature retreated into a shimmering, inky blackness, as if her mind was unable to comprehend that such a thing could actually exist. But then the smell hit her, a blend of rotted meat and excrement, and the horror became real once more. The creature bellowed again, and this time Kaine responded with a scream of her own. "Alright, you bastard," she thought as her scream echoed off the high cliffs around them. "It's you or me. Let's go." The shade eyed Kaine with bemused interest. Then it began looking from her to the house and back again, as if urging her to look at the destruction it had so gleefully wrought. With dread building in her heart, Kaine glanced toward the house. Through the smoke and flames, she spotted a small figure struggling to escape the ruins. "Grandma." At the sound of her voice, the old woman began waving frantically. "She's alive," thought Kaine. "Alive." I have a feeling not for long, though. Kaine's legs sprang to life as she raced across the yard toward the flaming wreckage of the house. Before she could advance more than a few steps, the shade opened its mouth and let out a roar powerful enough to uproot trees and send them flying. The blast sent Kaine tumbling through the air before smashing her against the rocky earth. Stars danced in front of her eyes as she tried to remember how her legs worked. Get up. Get up. Get up, get up, get up, get up now! As Kaine struggled to her feet, the shade stomped toward her house, and pinned her grandmother to the ground with the tip of a claw. The old woman struggled to move the claw from her stomach, but she might well have been pushing a mountain. She coughed briefly, sending a small spray of blood into the air, then collapsed to the ground, her energy spent. Kaine lurched to her feet only to fall back to earth with a gasp. Her ankles were on fire. One, or both of them, were surely broken. Ignoring the pain that screamed through her body, she began dragging herself across the ground, leaving a drunken trail of dust and blood in her wake. "Grandma, hold on. Just a little longer." Her grandma's face was turning blue, her eyes rolling back until only the whites were exposed. Kaine pulled herself across the ground with maddening slowness, the distance seeming to increase with every second that passed. The shade glanced between the two women and flicked out its tongue, its giant mouth turning up at the corners. Short, panting breaths belched from somewhere deep inside its core. Bastard, laughing at us. She had no idea how such a mindless creature could experience emotion, but there could be no doubt the shade was taking joy in their suffering. "Yeah, I see your plan." The shade moved its claw slightly, allowing Grandma to breathe again. It was clearly keeping her alive, only to snuff out her life when Kaine was close enough to touch her. "I'm gonna kill this bastard." Summoning all her strength, Kaine rose to her feet. There was a sickening snap from her right ankle as the foot twisted out, foot twisted backward, but she forced it from her mind and began to hobble toward the monster. Pulling a small knife from the pouch at her waist, she leapt on the foot that pinned her grandmother and plunged the weapon deep. "Give her back," she screamed. "Give her back to me." It was like stabbing a rock. After a few swipes, the knife broke at the hilt with a dull snap. The shade panted laughter again, then raised its tail and sent it rushing through the air toward the young girl that was latched to its foot. Kaine never had a chance. The tail struck her square in the chest and sent her crashing into the burning wreckage of the home. As she lay on the ground with blood pouring from multiple wounds, a small, weak voice spoke up. "Kaine?" Kaine's vision blurred, but she forced herself to focus on the sound. Finally, her eyes cleared enough for her to make out her grandmother's hands reaching out to her through the smoke. "Grandma. Kaine, you gotta run. You can't best this one." Kaine grabbed the hands and held on with all her strength. "Grandma, come on, we have to go." The old woman coughed loudly. One of her hands, slick with blood, slipped from Kaine's grasp and thumped to the ground below. "Grandma, no. No!" Said, "Run, goddammit. You have to live. You have to get through." A thought that would stay forever unfinished. Before she could say another word, the shade's clawed foot descended, smashing through the remains of the roof and down upon the shattered figure of the old woman. Blood oozed from gaps in the creature's toes as the terrible putrid smell assaulted Kaine's nose once again. She stared at the foot, dumbfounded, convinced that what she was seeing could not possibly be real. When the creature finally lifted its appendage, all that remained underneath was a twisted, unrecognizable mass of rubble and red. Her grandmother was gone. Kaine blinked, trying to feel the hands which had been in hers just a moment before. For a fleeting instant she could remember the warmth of that embrace, the trembling of the fingers, but then the sensation drifted away on the breeze and was gone. Memories flashed through Kaine's mind, one after the other, faster and faster, till they became a meaningless jangle of noise. Kaine screamed then, thunderous sound that echoed off the cliffs and seemed to roll away forever. The shade eased forward, black ichor pouring from its mouth and dissolving into smoke on the ground below. The earth shook with every step as it crept toward its prey. Kaine's body slowly rose as if controlled by a mad puppet master. Her arms and legs were bent at impossible angles, her head lolled dangerously to the side, yet somehow she managed to stand. Staring at the shade, her eyes began to glow with a deep red fire. The creature, so confident just moments before, took a slow, hesitant step backwards, trying to discern if this broken human could possibly pose a threat. Kaine seized the moment. Laughing like a madwoman, she leapt into the air and plunged the shattered hilt of her knife deep into the leg of the shade. The shade shook Kaine off like a fly, sending her crashing to the earth once again. Her chest rose and fell slowly, as if a great weight were resting on it. Moist sounds of pain echoed through her mind. Something warm and thick oozed from her ears. Is that blood? I think it is. Think I'm bleeding to death. No, can't die. Grandma told me to live. Deep inside Kaine's mind, something finally broke. The sound, the pain, the smoke and flames, all of it faded away until all that remained was a single incantation repeated over and over again. Kill it. Kill it. Kill it. Kill it now. As the spark that was Kaine slowly began to flicker and die, she felt her desire to kill and her desire to live blend into one. The distance between heartbeats grew longer and longer, longer.
The beast approaches.
Oh, I know.
Are they starting me off learning a new character by fighting this thing? Because yikes. Wait, what? I'm just me again?
What anger this creature must have. How did it even survive these past 5 years?
I'm not gonna let this happen again.
It's
it
not,
dies today. My sword feels lighter.
It's not the blade, but the skill of the user. Strike it down.
I'm not Kaine. I just basically read her diary and then said, okay, moving on. Alright. Yeah, strangle him. Oh, we were into gameplay. Gently, weakly, softly, the shade, sure that its tormentor was dead, turned and stomped off toward the horizon, stopping along the way to bellow one final roar. Couldn't kill it. Shamed beyond imagining, Kaine tried to turn her head to the side, but only succeeded in coughing up a huge gout of blood. It was getting difficult to see, and only after a moment of fierce concentration did she realize that her left eye was gone. Laughing to herself, she turned her remaining eye to the ruins of her home and noticed a ragged stump of arm resting a few feet away. Yeah, that's mine, she thought with a mad giggle. This is gonna make clapping a real bitch. I mean, she's right. Cried a sudden voice from the depths of her mind. Finally gonna die, are you? Well, you had it coming. Go to hell, Demo, she thought at the unseen assailant. Go to hell before I pluck out your eyes and feed them to a dog. The voice of her childhood terror evaporated into smoke, only to be replaced by another, more recent voice. Hold still, said the apothecary, materializing from the ruins like a ghost. I want to draw you. That way you can live forever. No, stop. I want to live forever. I want to die right here. That's a mood. I see, he said quietly. Well, if that's what you want. The spectral shopkeeper fluttered in and out of existence for a moment, then produced a piece of paper and sketched quickly. After a few seconds, he turned the page to Kaine and smiled. Since you rejected my offer, I decided to draw someone else. It was a picture of her grandmother, real as life. Kaine opened her mouth to thank the man, but stopped as the picture began to blacken in the middle. Before she could say anything, dozens of multi-legged insects began to swarm across the image, tearing at it with sharpened pincers. Stop. No, don't hurt that picture. Kaine reached out with her remaining arm and waved futilely at the air. To her surprise, the insects fell off the picture into the ground below, where they vanished into tiny black tendrils of smoke. Relieved, Kaine turned her good eye back to the picture, only to open her mouth in a silent scream. The sketch now showed her grandmother as she truly was, a smashed, unrecognizable lump of nothing. The apothecary smiled, then broke into a jolly dance. See that? He cried as he danced his jig. It's perfect now. She looks just like you. Ha ha ha. It looks like that? God. Oh God, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. Drowning in despair, Kaine laid her head back in the mud and smoke of her ruined house and waited for the end to come. But just before she let everything go, an unfamiliar voice began whispering in her ear. Ain't you got a wish, sunshine? The voice was vulgar and fierce at the same time, as if insanity had somehow found a way to take form. Kaine wanted to scream as the voice crawled under her skin, but her lungs refused to work. You know, a wish, like a prayer or something? Why don't you get on your knees and start praying to heaven? Please, invisible man in the sky, save me, save me! Ah. Kaine finally resorted to shouting at the voice with her mind. I don't make wishes, they don't come true for me. I'm a curse, a freak, I should be left to die. The other voice boomed in her ears. Oh god, you are the best. Kaine glanced down and saw a black, shiny substance oozing from her legs. She tried to brush it away, but her remaining arm would no longer respond. The substance slowly crept around her feet and then began moving up toward the rest of her body. Is this death? Is this what it's like? Or is my mind just losing itself? She could feel the slime oozing upward, feel the hot searing pain it left in its wake. Whatever else might be happening, she was still alive, and this was real. Come on, said the voice. Let it go. Kaine tried to ignore the voice and concentrate on the pain, but the newcomer would have none of it. Don't ignore me, sunshine. You're ready to give up, ready to die, so why not let me have it? Have what? Your body. Come on, give it to me. Give it to me. I want to stand on the ground, feel the rain, taste the wind. The voice paused, as if licking its lips. When it resumed, it was filled with mad, unabated joy. I want to take your hands and use them to choke the goddamn life out of people. I want to tear out their throats and bathe in the blood, just like before. In response, Kaine shifted her head and vomited. The warmth of it crept down her throat and mingled with the pain of the encroaching black ooze. Are you a shade? Yeah, maybe. What of it? The slime reached her face, crept up past her nose, and slowly oozed into the socket of her missing eye. The moment it touched her brain, Kaine was struck by the most powerful sensation she'd ever felt in her life. It was ecstasy. She wanted to scream with delight, but all she could manage was a small, whispered moan. Feels good, don't it? Asked the voice with a chuckle. Yeah, what can I say? I know how to please the ladies. Now give me that body. Come on, give me the body and I'll give you more of this feeling. It's a fair trade. A black lump began to protrude from Kaine's side. As she watched, it grew longer and thicker, eventually taking the form of her missing arm. I can see better, she thought. My eye must be growing back too. The slime reached up to envelop the rest of her face, but she managed to brush it away. Stop, she whispered, marveling at how she had regained her voice. Stop. The black ooze hesitated, as if considering this request, then quickly shimmered down her body before disappearing in a cloud of smoke. Ah, what the hell, sunshine? Screamed the voice. We had a deal. I thought you wanted to die. Grandma said, Can't die yet. A brief image of her grandmother, bloodied and broken, flashed before her eyes. She saw the shade that had killed her and heard its mocking laughter, then closed her eyes and forced the image from her mind. Her whole body was quaking with rage. When she opened her eyes again, they burned bright red. That thing took my grandmother. I have to kill it before I die. Kaine glanced down and saw a mysterious pattern, the pattern of the shades, burn itself into her left arm. I'll be damned, said the voice cheerfully. Look at that, sunshine. I think you and me are going to be good friends now. So I have a feeling near the end of the other story, near the end of the A ending, Kaine was talking a lot to something that wasn't responding, like she was talking unprompted. So I think when we get to that point, we're going to be hearing whatever this is speaking to her. Kaine stared intently at her arm. The more emotional she felt, the more the letters seemed ready to puncture her skin and begin infecting the rest of her body. The arm clearly had a will of its own now. Stop. Gotta stop. Holding her left arm in her right, Kaine took a deep breath and tried to calm herself. Come on, don't fight it, pleaded the voice. Hate's my favorite dish and I am hungry. Let it go. Feel the anger. Burn with the fire of revenge. Thirst for blood, then go out there and shut up. Shut up and get the hell out of my body. Your body? Oh, that's rich, sunshine. Real rich. Look, why don't you just up and die so I can have this body all to myself? What do you say? I bet those buddy of yours in the area would love to see you dead. Kaine grabbed a nearby shard of glass and tried to saw off the shade-infected portion of her side. Before she could, her darkened left arm grabbed her right wrist, crushing it. Kaine screamed and dropped the shard as the sound of bone crunching on bone filled the air. Stupid idiot girl, you're possessed now, sunshine, and there ain't no going back. The voice laughed again, a loud, long wail that seemed to go on without end. Possessed, whispered Kaine. Yeah, possessed. You and me? We got what you might call a timeshare arrangement. Remember how folks used to think you were a freak? Well, wait till they get a load of you now. Kaine looked up, tears in her eyes. The sky seemed smaller somehow, darker. Is this because of that shade? Is this how they seen the world? So, listen, heard the voice. I know this whole possession thing seems a bit sudden, but it ain't all bad. There's plenty in it for you, too. Very powerful creature, Sunshine. And now that power belongs to you. You got enemies? People you want to kill? I can make it happen. That little fat kid who kept picking on you? That big old shade that squashed your granny? We'll wrap them up in their own assholes. No more abuse for you, Sunshine. No more pain. Wait, said Kaine. You're a shade. Would you help me kill another shade? What, you think I'm some kind of racist? Some killing snob? I don't give a good goddamn who you murder, honey pants. I just want to drink from the well. Kaine considered this as she struggled to her feet, the power of the shade coursing through her. The smoke from her house was drifting away with the wind. She enjoyed the way the cool evening breeze felt on her new left arm. After a long pause, the voice spoke up again. So, how about it? You and me? We could have some good times together. Look, I'll even take care of the bloody part if you don't want. Fuck off, asshole, murmured Kaine. I'll handle the killing. Yeah, haha, screamed the voice. Look at you go. Oh, Sunshine, we're gonna have so much fun. So listen, my name's Tyran, and if you ever need me, I'll just be hanging out in this piece of meat you call a heart. Now get to it. The more you kill, the more your heart turns rotten and sour. And I like rotten and sour. Kaine found herself nodding at the voice. Yeah, she said. Yeah, I think this can work. I'm gonna find that shade and I'm gonna strangle it with its own guts. Done. I'm gonna do the same to you, Tyran. Count on it. Heh, laughed Tyran. I've shit bigger than you, so good luck with that. Oh, and hey, one more thing. Right now, you and me are sharing this body, but if you ever run out of hate, if you ever, go soft, then I'm gonna take over everything. So keep on killing, Sunshine, and watch your back. The voice grew fainter and gradually faded away, fading to somewhere deep inside Kaine herself. Kaine waited until she was sure the voice was gone, then waved her new left arm around a few times. Feels perfectly normal, she thought. Feels like mine. Desperately, she began poking and prodding at the new limb, determined to find something wrong with it. She didn't want it to feel normal. That would mean the creature inside her had already won. I am not a shade. I'm Kaine. Repeating this mantra in her mind, she slowly began digging through the rubble of her house, being careful to ignore a certain red-stained spot in the corner. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity of heartbreaking work, she found what she was looking for. It was the wreath of lunar tears. Though it had been through hell and back, the garland's petals were as bright as ever. Kaine started to place it in her hair, then slowly lowered the wreath and stared at it. Sorry, Grandma. So sorry. But I don't deserve to wear this anymore. Possessed, corrupted, a freak. And this time I don't think there's any going back. Holding the flowers to her heart, Kaine fell to the ground and sobbed. As night gradually lightened to dawn and the people of the area rose to their daily lives, she remained in that position, as if tears could somehow wash away the horror that now infected her world.
Alive! Stay alive! Stay alive!
Grandma.
Kaine, you gotta live! You gotta come back to us!
I don't trust it. There's gonna be more reading.
Oh, hey.
So is that why she has her left arm all wrapped
You
up?
were the one calling me, weren't you?
Because that's the shade
You
arm?
still recognize me?
Of course. I knew you right away.
Thank you.
We did not know it was him right away. I thought it was Grandma.
Welcome back, Kaine.
Wow. You grew up. So, how long has it been?
5 years.
Imagine going to sleep and then waking up, and the dude you've been adventuring with is suddenly hot.
Shit. That's a long time. Any luck with Yona?
We are still no closer to finding her. We need a way to locate the Shadow Lord.
By the way, this is for you.
Is that a lunar tear?
It's not as good as your grandmother's, but I tried.
No, it's great. Thank you.
So, now that we know what's going on,
Waking from her long, petrified sleep.
I'll just be quiet for a moment.
Emil's unflagging kindness. Our reunion was a happy one, and we let it wash over us like rain. That is, until Devila and Popola had to go and ruin it all.
Hey, that line hits different now.
Are you kidding me? You can't be serious!
Please, try to understand. People are tired and scared, and... I'm sorry. I'm sorry you have to bear the brunt of that.
This is crap, and you know it!
It's okay. We can sleep outside.
No one's sleeping outside. You and Kaine saved this village, and now they want to run you out?
And I'm getting some deja vu.
People are afraid of us. And really, I understand. I mean, look at me. As long as you're still with us, I can deal with it. Right, Kaine?
I'm used to sleeping outside.
But...
that line also
We'll
hits
see you
different
later.
now.
Sorry about this.
What is the matter?
Kaine always sleeps outside. I never thought about that until just now. Never even occurred to me. Damn it.
We should turn in.
I think I've been on this side
I
story
didn't get
for
much
like
sleep
half
that
an
night.
hour, and it's just been reading and some slight dialogue.
For the first time in my life, I hated Devila. For the first time in my life, I doubted Popola. But those feelings are pointless in the end. They said and did what they did for the sake of the village.
Mm-hmm. How does that hold up later?
To protect it from the horror of the Shades. Really, how can I blame Devila and Popola?
Because they're assholes.
In the end, I'm just as bad. Because I never once stopped to think about Kaine and Emil's situation myself.
So this one's going to be much shorter, unless they hit us with stuff in the post-game.
I should apologize to Kaine and Emil, but what good would that even do?
I got a fire going. Kaine.
Wait, is that...
Campfires? I'm so happy to get to talk to you again, Kaine.
Yeah, me too.
I tried everything I could think of to save you, you know. I polished you with a special cloth. I poured warm water over you.
Wait, you poured water on me?
Yeah, but it didn't really do much except make you all shiny.
Oh, Emil's doing his best.
Hey, Emil. Thanks for saving me.
I guess you noticed how I look different now.
No, now that you pointed out, I can see it, but...
I'm sorry, Emil. I'm sorry for all of it.
Well, I mean, this new form isn't all bad, you know? At least I can look at you when we talk, right? Hey, so why don't you tell me something about yourself?
I'm not very interesting. Sorry.
Come on, I just want to know you better.
I'll just shut that down
Please?
right away.
Fine. This all happened when I was a kid. Before the whole shade possession thing. My body is... different. And when the villagers found out about it, they started treating me like a freak. But one person, my grandmother, accepted me just as I was. no matter how bad things got, she gave me the strength to keep going.
She's really special to you, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, hey! That gives me an idea. Since we cured your petrification, we should start looking for a way to cure your possession in my body.
Well, we know that one of those things won't be cured.
I know we can do it if we all work together. Heck, it'll probably be super easy.
Let me guess. More warm water?
Okay, can we just forget I told you about that?
I like their dynamic. They cute. Damien brought a chick home with him. It makes little chirps and follows me around, and it's just the cutest thing ever. That's also a new one.
Sleep well?
Sure.
And yet your red eyes tell a different tale. Don't be so hard on yourself, lad.
I need to go see Devila and Popola.
Very well.
Oh boy.
What might that be?
The mother's diary
It's
thing.
Mom's diary.
I have not heard you speak much about your mother.
She got the black scrawl and died when I was little.
It runs in the family.
My apologies for bringing it up.
It's all right. I can barely remember her face anymore. This is the only thing I have left of her. Reading it helps remind me of
Does
when
that
we
make
were
it
still a
better or
family.
worse? Like, sorry for bringing up your mom. It's okay, I don't even remember what she looks like anymore.
I see.
But the final entries get a little strange.
In what way?
Well, here, take a look.
Oh. Have I given myself even more to read through now?
Say there. Can you not hear me? Why are you standing about like a slack-jawed ninny?
Who is
Sorry.
this?
Felt like I was dreaming or something.
Sleeping on one's feet is quite the talent indeed. Come now, there's the door.
Right. Let's go.
What? Did I just get older and odder? Proceed beyond this point and you will be unable to save until the battle is over. Do you want to go through the door? Yes? What have I stumbled upon? This is the world of the recycled vessel created to avoid the destruction of all. What is happening here? The music's a bit of a bop. Am I just heading downstairs? Is that the goal here? Because I can head downstairs anytime. And if the little guys want to follow me, that works. Because if the goal is just to get downstairs, that works. But if the goal is to kill all the little guys, then them following me means I still achieved my goal. I'll just get them all together in a squad at the bottom. See? Everything exactly as planned. It's much easier to kill them all when you bunch them up. Here's the last one. Hey, coward. Or one of the floaty lads, right? Just about threw myself down a hole. Loving the tunes. Whoa, where's that one floaty lad I'm missing? I can't tell if I've just misplaced my opponent or what. Hello? I know they said I was here until the battle was over, but thought it might be easier to find my opponent. Oh. Oh, he's literally down here. Okay, he's down. Sure. Anyone else? Obtain medicinal herb ×3. Was that Mom's diary? The black scrawl, a lost destiny, a white book, a false truth. So yeah, there's a lot going on here. Come on, cowards. I love that combo. Because the second heavy hit breaks their block, and then the third one just demolishes them. Alright, all these shooty boys. Gonna take care of these guys eventually. I think that's everybody? Yeah. More medicinal herbs. Oh, okay, so it's... My cough just wouldn't quit today. I bet Damien would have rubbed my back if he was here. That's nice. Soldiers of Salt calling forth white death. They are legion, those who plunge the world into darkness. Well, the magic balls make it real easy. As long as my magic isn't getting stopped by their magic. Then we're on easy street. Oh, one of them just teleported. Hello? There's a lot going on here. They just keep teleporting around. Come on, gentlemen. I've had about enough of your crap. Okay. Obtain the one-handed sword Fool's Embrace. We do like new sword. The dragon's corpse brought death to the world, delivering unto it the power of magic. And a real quick check my weaponry. Faith, Ancient Overlord. Fool's Embrace. I'm curious. Sword created after a man driven mad by revenge sealed away a cursed dragon. You know what? Let's fuck it up. These guys stand no chance. If they just want to keep sending little guys after me, I'm cool with it. Oh, hello, big boy. This guy is just thick as hell. He's just got nothing on me. Here, you know what, Vice? You can help out for a moment. Here. You finish him off. I asked Devla if hooch tastes good, and she said it's the best thing in the world. She said we can have some together when I'm all grown up. Yikes. The black sickness stains the future. They journey to return to soulless vessels. Ooh. Now we're like an old school beat 'em up game. Pop my medicinal herbs. Screw these guys. Screw these guys specifically. Magic Boy needs to go. That's it. There we go. And he is gone. Let's pop another medicinal herb. They seem to drop a lot of them. I'm fine with that. Door ain't open, so we're going this way. Yo. Oh, I need this guy dead, please. Please? That may be too much to ask. You know what, Vice? Just pop him. Last thing I want is magic boys getting in my way. Oh, hello. There we go. Yet again, I'm asking you to get the hell out of my way. Obtain the Kabuki outfit. Ooh! You gain 1,000 experience points and 3 medicinal herbs. Is that what we got? Oh, there's another door. Okay, so I'm guessing 3 outfits. Okay, so we have maps, have all the key cards. We still have all the keys, which is nice. Where does one put on an outfit? There? Game. No. Oh yeah, I should look at... So Dark Blast... Ooh, greatly reduces MP cost. Okay. Key rate, item drop rate, I don't care about. Ooh, Drain MP would actually be an interesting effect to have on my base dealio. Increase magic power, increase armor break, maybe? Increase Drain MP to level 9. Hey, Sheen, how's it going? Hope you are having a fantastic evening. Yeah, I'm thinking big MP drain on that, and then Dark Lance is going to become like big ol'... So cheap to use and greatly increased magic power, maybe? That's what I'm thinking. Or maybe armor break. 20% armor break. Let's go. How am I doing? I'm doing real good. I'm vibing hard. What weapon am I using right now? I'm using Fool's Embrace. So let's pump this boy a little bit. I'm thinking this guy should have some drain HP. And we'll pump that up to level 9. Yeah, I'm also glad I'm vibing. Shit got weird while you were gone. No, I'm gonna pop out of here. You cannot stay super lunk. What happened? How get weird?
My word.
Something wrong?
I feel as if I've just awoken from a most unpleasant dream.
I know what you mean. That happens to me whenever I read it.
So, I went to save sister. her body had been possessed by a shade that I guess was the sister of the Shadow Lord. I fought the Shadow Lord, but actually on my way there to fight Popola and Devla, because they didn't want me getting to Yona, I killed both of them. Then I got to Yona. She was possessed by a shade that was the sister of the Shadow Lord. I fought the Shadow Lord. The shade inside Yona basically sacrificed itself because it said, like, I can feel her. She wants to see her brother. It's cruel to keep her away from him. So, shade sacrificed herself. Shadow Lord got very upset about that. Fought me even harder. Grimoire Weiss sacrificed himself to hold him in place long enough for me to kill him. And then Kaine pieced out, and that was basically the end of the story. Then we started the second story, and it basically so far it has consisted of about half an hour of reading. Yeah, everyone just sacrificing themselves. Oh yeah, and on our way up to what's his name? On our way up to the Shadow Lord, we were getting attacked by this like shade of a boar that kept reviving itself. Like every time we brought its health bar down to 0, it would just refill. And the prince and all of his the prince and his people showed up and basically said, this thing's gonna keep coming back. We'll keep it busy while you go deal with the Shadow Lord. So I have a feeling they all died as well. But we're in ending B now. I don't know how things are different yet. Aside from so far, we've been doing a lot of reading. I want to find out how to change my outfit. Because it's not in my items, or at least it's not under my key items. They're not under my weapons list. They're not under word edit. Who tells me how I look? Where do I see how I look? I need to be fancy. Hold on. Buzz? Is there a buzzing? Hold on. How to change outfit. Oh, okay. I need to go to the main menu for that to happen.
The diary.
Yeah.
The world.
Okay. I'm gonna go and try that other fight for a moment. Gonna unlock another costume. Then I'm gonna save and go to the main menu. Oh wait, you sense something terribly sinister beyond this door. It may be difficult to endure what awaits on the other side unless your soul is at least level 28. Do you want to open the door? I'm level 27. I probably could handle it with some difficulty. But I mean, if I have time to do it later anyway, might as well wait until I'm strong enough and can do it easily, you know? Also, that's the other thing. Are we gonna get another time skip?
Something
I feel.
I know it.
Because that was like even older me. Okay, bring me back to the main menu. I want to see my outfit options. So many readings? Yeah, there was friggin'... Well, not long before you hopped on, finished about half an hour's worth of just reading. Like, that visual novel section that we had earlier in, like, the Dreaming Village? Because yikes. Imagine that for the entire first part of Kaine's story. There was so much reading, it was insane. But we have some Kaine backstory now, so that's a thing. Oh, and we have different loading images. Because we're now in Kaine's story. Instead of it all being Yona themed, it seems to be Emil themed. Ooh, that's a decent look for him. I can vibe with it.
Hey.
Oh, hi. I kinda thought you'd never talk to us again.
Yeah, after the shit you pulled earlier tonight.
I understand you're doing this for the village, and that you don't have a choice.
Pretty much, yeah.
I'm headed...
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about you.
You don't need to let it...
As far as I can tell, this is all the same. Which I'm not sure how I feel about that. I guess there's only so much that can be different. It's just... feels weird because I'm used to NieR Automata with the secondary story being fully like 9S when you play through it. So...
Popola?
Oh.
Look,
Stop.
Yeah, you're
I
just
want to
trying
see
to...
if there's
It's
anything
very
different,
kind
but otherwise I can skip
Oh,
mostly
you
through.
know-
The temple.
That's it.
Oh, how...
But the...
So, yes. It took a... I also asked the ferryman that should make it
Thanks. I feel like I'm really... Alright.
And for the love...
Alright, well that makes it easier to get to the new stuff if we can just skip through everything that's familiar to us. So that's always good. I'm looking forward to seeing what Kaine and Emil look like in these new outfits as well. Because it wasn't just a new outfit for
Half above the
me,
entrance to the shop.
there's a new outfit for the whole
How
gang.
excellent to know the canal is finished. Hopefully this puts our days of running all over behind us.
No, it does
The
not.
faster we can move, the faster we can save Yona.
We used the
Let's
ferry
use it
like
as often as
twice
we
for the
need.
story. Which, yikes. Yo, what up, ferryman? Oh, remember when you died? Yikes.
Hey!
That red bag.
Hey!
Sure, apparently I did.
Oh yeah?
Thanks. Still, anyway.
Okay, so we're going to the Lost Shrine rear path, blah 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 blah. Damien and Vicey are always together. He says even though they argue a lot, they're actually good friends. I wish I could travel with Damien sometimes. Everyone does. Everyone wishes they could travel with me sometimes.
The Lost Shrine's up ahead. Just past.
As well as the shop.
Let us...
Alright, so... Kaine, nice. Looking good. And Emil just wrapped in a very comfy, colorful cloak. I love him. We've got a good, like, team synergy going on here. Why is she still wearing nothing? That's what she does. That's her thing. I'm not gonna take that away from her. You like Cloak Boy? Yeah. Okay, yeah. So Kaine understands them. I was wondering about that. So this one's named Gretel, and it's crying that we killed Hansel. I had a feeling it was going to be something along those lines. So she understands shades. What do you want? Go away, dirty defective swine. Oh! Oh, that means we're going to understand what the girl wanted. The girl who was on the ship and was a giant shade. I'm not like you, I'm different. You must go. Understandable. Thank you for joining, Sheen. I'm not going to be on for too much longer tonight anyway. It's been been over 3 hours. I'm probably gonna finish up, get to the next save point, and then peace out for now. Ooh, a hydrate from Sheen just before he goes. Thank you, my dude. You have a good day. Oh, and a posture check. Alright. Let's do this shit. Alright. Thank you, my dude. Stay safe out there. Thank you for the bread as well. Ooh, she just freaking teleported up above. I love how she just always teleports around. Like, she was at the bottom of the first ladder, and then suddenly she was at the bottom of the second one just now. Now there she is. We can't escape her, no matter what we do. Not like we want to, though, to be fair. Oh. Oh, what now? You again. Stop bothering me. Grimoire Vice has been taken away. Hansel is dead. There's no reason for me to exist anymore. My life is over. Just leave me alone. What? Well, now I just feel bad for killing Hansel.
Ain't you excited, sunshine? We finally get to bathe in blood.
Don't talk to me.
I want to kill so bad I can barely stand it.
We got our boy, Tyran. Tyran? He's tired, that's all. I've been waiting for him to... Oh, I forgot. We have to move the frickin' boxes. I don't want it. Okay, box 1, out this way. Box 2, out that way. Alright, now we're good. Nope, now we're good.
This is all too easy.
That staircase don't work. The ladder over there is what we want. And I don't like these rooms. I'd be content if these rooms didn't exist. Alright. Gotta go all the way over here. And wham bam, we're out of that ram. We will continue to make room. 2. As long as there's a two like square gap, we can get out of the rooms, which makes it real easy. Now the shades are telling us to stay back.
What's with these guys?
Certainly not your garden variety shades.
Their bodies aren't fully functional.
Say, I've heard of this. A cursed area where incomplete shades gather.
Alright, so Tyran knows what's up. Even if I don't. He's out here being a big brain boy. Okay, gotta pull this out. Push this out. Pull this down. And push that out. Nice. And then same deal as before. Alright, and our path out should be just over here. Please? Oh, right, I can't get through this door until these guys are all dead. Please. It's not as bad once I've got some of them dead, but yikes, until then. It's good having the HP drain now that I think about it. Very handy. I'm just gonna let that guy shoot at me for a little bit. And he can enjoy some of those. Literally just took one burst. Yikes. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go forward until I hit the save point just before this battle. And the save point is gonna be kind of our grand finale for tonight. I have treated you all poorly. I mocked you, betrayed you. All because you went Gestalt before the change was complete. But after all this, I think I can understand you. I think we can speak as equals. This makes me very happy. Hope we can spend the rest of our life. What was that? Uh-oh. They're finally preparing to live a happy life, and we're gonna come along and, ruin it. This is fine. I'm no stranger to ending happy families.
Look, from now on, I'm going to sleep outside with you.
Why?
I can't accept that you aren't allowed in the village. It's stupid.
So you're staging a protest? Have fun.
Don't waste your time.
But it just feels wrong.
Well,
this way.
That's really nice of you, but you still don't have to stay out here with us.
Emil.
You've got a super important mission. You can't sleep out in the rain. What if you catch a cold?
How kind of him.
Besides, I like camping with Kaine. Sometimes we sit around the fire and tell stories, or roast...
Neil, that's enough. I've got a fucking image to maintain.
We seem to be surrounded by a mob of helpless puppies.
Just kick him aside.
Well, now I just feel bad knowing what shades are. These poor lads. I'm sorry. The game makes me do it. Alright, well... I think we've reached a decent stopping point. Tomorrow we can start out with a potentially dangerous fight, or potentially an easy fight, depending on how they set it up. But this has been fun. We got a good chunk of the game out of the way, and I'm excited to do more. Don't know when for sure I'm going to be doing it. This week is going to be a little busy, but I will do my best to stream at least once or twice. But for now, thank you guys for joining. It's been a good time having y'all. It's been a good time talking. Hope you guys had as much fun as I did, and I look forward to next time we're all together gaming again. For now, you all have a good night, good day, good morning, whatever it is for you. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.